Thanks for that nice introduction. So just for clarification, you asked me to talk today about the future planning because I've had some incidents in my life. And so that's kind of going to be my sum. If I have time at the end, I'll share some more what we're doing. But these type of things don't get people down, don't ruin law firms for the future. In 2008, 3 o'clock in the morning, Bill, I got a phone call that woke me up, which was weird because I usually leave my phone on silent, but I woke up and I listened to the other person on the phone and I immediately broke into this sweat, jumped out of bed, hit my car, was going 90 miles an hour towards my law office. The windows were down because it was a July night. And that was the first time I smelled the bitter smell, the sweet smell of smoke. And I knew it was bad. I got off the exit, headed towards my law firm that had only been in that building for about 2 years. And I saw fire trucks and I saw the lights on the fire trucks going on. And I knew it was bad. And I pulled into my parking lot and I had tears in my eyes and I just stared at that building. My secretary was there because she also got the call from the fire department. She got me out of my car. We stood there, we hugged, and we just cried. And the sun started coming up, and I started thinking about my clients who were going to be calling, new clients who were going to be calling, my lawyers who had to be in court within a few hours. And what was I going to do? Fast forward a few years, I had another fire. The guy in town who sent me 70% of my business in one day in a 10-minute meeting cut me off completely. I had 40 employees, and I didn't know where my next case was coming from. I didn't know how I was going to feed my families. So the coronavirus is not new to my firm, but I lump these all in as fires. And fires, while these fires were painful, but fires clear the way for new things, as does viruses. It brought me new people. It brought us a new sense of energy and focus. And I look back on these fires with an immense sense of gratitude. It was pivotal for the good. It banded us all together and allowed me to make a real difference in my firm and in my community. They helped us understand how strong we were, stronger than we thought we were. And our success that followed with these shared experiences make us feel invincible. So I'm going to share with you today how we overcame these fires and came up with a systematic approach to fireproof any law firm, and at the same time experience explosive growth. My firm, from that time till now, has grown to be the largest personal injury firm in Michigan. We went from settling cases and having judgments of about $17 million in 2008 to $160 million today. We call it being fireproof. And I don't believe in coincidences, but my COO, John Nachhazel, and I just put the finishing touches on a book that we've been working on for a year called Fireproof. It's not out yet. You can't get it. If you want it in a couple months, follow me on social media at 855mikewins.com or sign up for our newsletter and you'll get the information. But it's not available right now, but I'm super excited. There's 5 principles that we cover in this book. But because of the short amount of time I have today, I'm going to cover 2 of the 5. The first one we call the Jumbotron principle. We've all been to sporting events. We've all seen those Jumbotrons up there and we take them for granted, right? They're totally visible for everybody to see at every given moment. But many people don't think about why. The coaches and the players need those numbers to make the right decisions to win the game. It doesn't matter the sport. So if you want to call the right play with the right players in the right positions, you need to know the numbers. You need real-time information on the situation. You need to know the score. You need to know the down and the distance. You need to know if you need to go for 2 or 6 or 7. What's the play clock at? How many timeouts do I have left? I was like many firms, many small firms, medium-sized firms who are listening to this right now, don't have a Jumbotron, or some might call it a scorecard. And I'm embarrassed to think back about that. But when I talk to law firms at the national trial lawyers or events, and I ask them questions about their numbers, they look at me with a blank slate. And it's a natural tendency because where do you start? They didn't teach us how to make this type of stuff in law school. You want to scale your firm and you want to grow your firm, you need to have a Jumbotron. So a basic Jumbotron, when we first started ours, it started with one sheet of paper and it had questions like, are we ahead or behind pace of our annual revenue goals? How many cases did we settle last week and for how much? How much money is in our pipeline waiting to come into the firm? How many new calls did we get last week? How many cases did we sign up last week? Where did the cases come from? How many lawsuits did we file last week? How much referral money came in? And is our year-to-date favorable to budget? Now our Jumbotron is much larger than that, but you get the idea. And just in one little space, one piece of paper, you can gain so much valuable insight. But now that I know my numbers, I can make better, faster, and informed decisions. I take bold actions with great confidence and no fear. I have peace of mind. And now many people can help you set up your Jumbotron. It could be your CPA or hopefully somebody in your firm, but you got to find that person. Making a trip to your CPA once a month or once a quarter is not enough. It's not enough. You're guessing and you're wasting energy. And if you don't have somebody, hopefully our book, our newsletters will help you get down the path to set one up because you need to. And I want everybody listening to have their own Jumbotron because your numbers are really important to you and your team. And your core numbers can help your team diagnose a problem. I look at our Jumbotron kind of like a smoke detector, Bill. A smoke detector, I look at it's like an early warning system in real time. If you see smoke, you can run over and put a little cup of water on it before it turns into a 3-alarm fire. But if you don't have your numbers, it could turn into that blaze really quickly. And I don't want to do that. And I've had my Jumbotron for over 12 years now, and my brilliant COO, John Knockhazel, can forecast my firm with remarkable accuracy. Last year, we got a real email from John on the last day of the work year. It was December 28th at 4:18, and he sent us this email saying that we had just hit our goal that he set in January, and we beat it by $1,700. It was absolutely ridiculous. It's true, with 42 minutes left. So when times are tough, like now, if you know your numbers and you know your forecasting, you don't get scared. You're able to make decisions with confidence. So take it to the coronavirus. January 2020, John said we're going to do $155 million this year. Okay, but the courts are closed and things are slow, but they won't be forever. This is based on a confident place, not from a scared place. I'm making them out of strength and confidence and not fear. And you can do the same thing if you know your numbers. Our next section we call in the book Cherry Garcia versus Vanilla. So in 2011, when I decided to go on TV, Detroit was one of the most competitive legal markets in the country. We had over $30 million going into the legal space with about 20 law firms on TV. And I didn't know how I was going to stand out because I just got cut off by that 700-pound gorilla. So I needed cases and I needed fast because we had 40 people working for me and I needed to turn on the cases. So what did I do? Well, I sat down, I thought, well, why does somebody pick one of us? Why do they pick a certain lawyer? Were they going to pick me because, people say I have good hair? Probably not. So I looked at all the commercials and I looked at them and I thought, these were vanilla. Vanilla is like a commodity. It's an okay flavor, but they don't stand out. They're all the same vanilla. I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be like the Cherry Garcia in my market. And how was I going to be that? Well, all the commercials had the lawyers fight. The lawyer is the best. You had the boring testimonials that were usually actors, right? They're all the same because it's a pack mentality. So if you're a new lawyer thinking about going on TV or going to legal marketing, Well, how did they get successful? And you turn on the TV and you see their boring vanilla commercials. And I said, well, that must work because they're rich. They're driving fancy cars. They got all these lawyers. So I'm going to try the same thing. And I'm going to be honest. I tried it for a minute and a half too. But it works like to an extent. But I couldn't stomach it for very long. So I got real quiet with myself and I said, well, what got me here? Why am I different from everybody else? We were winning a lot of cases. We were doing really well. I was winning my trials. First thing I did, I went out and I got a vanity number, 855 Mike Wins. I got 855mikewins.com, and everything in my business was centered around that number. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. Then I decided I wanted to be Cherry Garcia, not vanilla. So I literally took out a piece of paper and I would challenge everybody on this webinar to do the same thing and write down on the left-hand side what your competitors are doing, and on the right-hand side, describe you. And I'm going to really go fast through my actual list. Those commercials were boring. A lot of you don't know me, but I consider myself a fun guy. So I said, we're fun. They're arrogant. We're self-deprecating. I can poke fun of myself with the best of them. They are intimidating. I'm approachable. They're mean. We're the good guys. They're greedy. We give back. They're negative. We're uplifting. They're bullies. And we stand up to the bullies. So normally, if I was giving a presentation like this, Bill, I would show some of the commercials that I've won at the NTL. Harlan was on the panel, and I won my firm and Learner Advertising won the best 60-second commercial in the country last year and the best 30-second commercial. If anybody on this webcast is interested in seeing those, youtube.com/Mike Morse Law Firm. I have a playlist with my commercials, my Super Bowl commercials. Feel free to check them out. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as we drop off new commercials or a podcast that we've been doing, you'll get notifications of those. That's completely up to you. But when the coronavirus hit, we were the first in our state to put a simple commercials up without my face saying that we're working from home. Don't be scared. Stay home. We'll get to you. I'm not going to show you that one today because that was just text. I narrated it on my cell phone, and my brilliant advertising agency got it on the air within a day. But we did run 2 or 3 more that I shot from where I'm sitting right now. Bonnie, if you can show those 15-second spots to the people who are still on this webinar, why don't you do so at this time?
And yeah, we'll send this to you guys afterwards, just as an interaction. This one I love. This is him talking. I'll just, so he goes, "Hey,
That's
Mom,
my
it's
mom.
Mike. Everything going good over there?" Yeah, and then his mom goes, "Practicing social distancing." She goes, "Are you still taking care of your clients?" And Mike goes, "Yeah, Mom, remotely." Then he goes, "Michael, are you wearing pajama bottoms?" And then he looks down and goes, "You weren't supposed to notice." And then, so again, I mean, that's a perfect example of just going with the flow of what's going on right now with working virtually.
Can I say something? And Mike, you know, put this in context. You have a brand, and obviously, you know, your brand. So if people could take a look at your stuff on YouTube and see, you know, how you have portrayed yourself for the last couple of years, this just feeds right into the brand. I think it's brilliant. I love your marketing.
Yeah, and for everyone, you know, we'll make sure we send you guys those follow-ups. They're great, you know, commercials. Harlan was talking about it. I included it in my presentation. That's how awesome they were. But Mike just went completely. He said, "Okay, everyone's working virtually. How can I create 3 commercials overnight that go along with that. So continue.
Right. Well, I have a great team. I'm actually shooting more commercials this afternoon with Learner Advertising, and our director don't know my messaging. So my mom's in a lot of commercials. Jamie, my receptionist, is a lot of commercials. So he's right. It is continuing my brand. If you're guys on TV, this would like it, but it doesn't. It may or may not fit. But we're getting hundreds of emails positive for these. I love poking fun at myself, wearing pajamas at home, having my mom on. I mean, that's ringing. I mean, we're still getting 50, 60, 70 calls a day, new calls, which is definitely down from 120, 150 a day. But listen, there's nobody driving. So I'm happy. If you fireproof your firm, if the lawyer's watching, fireproof, viruses do happen, and I'm living proof, you'll be okay. If you're positioned correctly in your community, you give back to the community, you will not be one of those firms thinking about folding. We give back 35,000 backpacks to Detroit every single school year. They know that I'm not going anywhere. I am so not afraid because I really believe that we're fireproof. We're standing strong, we're confident, and you have to make sure your messaging is right. So I have zero doubt when this is over that my firm, will be over. I'm not letting off the gas. I'm not stopping advertising. I'm not decreasing our commercials or our social media presence or giving back. So, in my opinion, overall in these type of speeches is I believe that marketing advertising is just as important as being a good trial lawyer. So what we're doing right now in our firm is we decided to close 2 Sundays ago on the 15th. And because of the fire we had, because every time it snows in Michigan and the firms have to close down, we were ready. We prepared. We have processes in place. For 12 years, we've made sure that people have the right apps on their phones, that the people who need printers at their houses had printers. We tested them. We had drills. What are our drills? Snow days are drills. When we lose power at our building, those are drills. Stay home. We're going to test our system. So when we decided 3, 4 in the afternoon, 2 Sundays ago, that we weren't going to be open Monday, we were open Monday, 9 a.m., and we didn't even sweat it. We knew that we were going to be fine. So if you read this book, Fireproof, and you spend the time during these next couple months getting ready for the next fire, for the next virus, for getting shut out by your referral source, I hope the reason we're writing this book is to make sure that you have that confidence and that you're ready for the next thing that's happening. So the things that we're working on right now, Bill, just to end, is we're working on new commercials and new messaging. I wrote an article that I posted on Medium, how I'm leading my law firm in these uncertain times. I sent it to my staff first. I got emails that my letter made them cry, that my letter made them feel confident, that my letter made them not afraid because their spouses were getting laid off and everybody in the news is getting laid off and people are dying and Detroit's a hotbed. But when I told them that I was not taking a paycheck for 2020, that I wasn't going to lay off anybody before the stimulus package came out, they worked harder. And that letter you could find on Medium, or it's on my social media channels if you want to use any of that in your stuff. I'm calling my staff daily. When my staff has a birthday, when my staff has an anniversary, they had 2 staff yesterday who had anniversaries, an 11-year and a 9-year. I Zoom called them just to say happy anniversary, to keep this personal touch going, to keep me as engaged as ever. We're streamlining the processes. I know I said tongue-in-cheek to make Harlan smile that we were getting companies and new stuff like Lead Docket up and running. We've been doing that. It's taking us a long time, but now we have bandwidth. Your staff has bandwidth to do things, to work on projects. You need to ask for volunteers. I'm paying you. Who's got some time to help me make the client calls? Who's got me the time to clean up this? Who's got the time to help me do that? Ask your employees for help. They want to help. They want their jobs. Do not be afraid to look for volunteers. So we are looking to perfect Zoom. I think that this 2, 3, 4 months are going to change the way lawyers act and think. This is time for innovation. This is time to work on Zoom calls and maybe for the future for judges and in courts. Why would we ever have to make a physical appearance in court again other than a trial? I'm hoping that this changes the way we do business. I'm looking to perfect things. I'm looking to not only work with lead docket, but work on my attribution to say, how do I get every single call come in my firm? It's not just a Google search anymore. It's exactly how is it coming in? What you can't just say, oh, I'm on TV, so all the calls are coming in. We're spending a significant amount of time on attribution. We're negotiating with vendors to make sure we're getting the best rates on things. So because we're still spending the money, there's more eyeballs on TV, but less drivers. So you got to take advantage of these things. And you do need to think of yourself as a long-term play, that we're going to be here for 20 or 30 years. And so you can't be thinking about this virus. So take it from a guy who's had fires, who's been fired by people, who've gone through these tragedies. This is going to pass. We all know it's going to pass. And you need to think about this in a long-term play. So if you like what I had to say, follow me on some kind of social media at 855 Mike Wins. We're going to be putting out more newsletters. We're going to be getting book information out. We're going to be putting out more videos and articles. And if there's anything that I can do, email me at mike@855mikewins.com. I have a lot of energy for this. I want to help people alleviate the problems of these types of fires as they come up. It's one of my passions in life, and I just love doing it. So thanks, Bill, for having me on, and that's what I got for you.